Hello guys, welcome back. It's Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. On Monday, we were talking about primary and secondary sources and how they help to tell history. We started together with this sort, and I just kind of wanted to show you how I sorted these. Don't worry if you didn't get all of these in the correct spots. This is a little bit tricky. We talked about how the primary source is the person who made or wrote that source was actually at the event. And then we talked about secondary sources being made or written after the event happened. So this is the way I sorted them. Photographs under primary, a map, a newspaper. Many times news reporters or people who work at the newspaper, they were actually at the event and then they go back and they write it and it's published in a newspaper like this. A diary, sometimes those we might have a diary and we write and journal in our diary, like, today I did this, today I did that, I was there. I also put letter under primary sources listed right here. If I wrote a letter, I was there when I wrote the letter, and I'm telling about things maybe that happened. Maybe I'm writing about what I did that weekend, something like that. An interview, if you are actually at an interview and you're talking to someone to learn more about them or their history, things in the past, you were at the interview. And then under primary sources, we talked about history books, textbooks, those text books that we use in the classroom. Those were written before. They weren't written currently. They weren't written right now. They were already written in the past. Documents, old documents can be, secondary sources because people were not there when they were written. It happened in the past, in other words. Magazines. Articles that were written in magazines are about things that have already happened. And then our nonfiction books that we read about. We might find some nonfiction books that we use, that like in EPIC, for example, books that were already written that about things that have happened in the past. So again, no worries if you didn't quite get these, if you got these mixed up. This is kind of a tricky situation. I have a fun activity though for today. And let's look at that. Okay, so I said today's May 13th, 2020, and let's read our job. I will know how we use, here we go, use is not on here, use primary and secondary sources to tell about history. This is your job today. I want you to select an old photograph, and you're going to need mom or dad's help, maybe grandma, grandpa, to find a picture from the past. You're going to need that to complete this activity. Okay, so select an old photograph from the past to complete this activity. Not sure why this was kind of okay. So then once you have picked a photograph from the past, then you're going to draw a picture in your journal and write what you learned about your past picture, from what you learned about the past from your old picture. Okay, so for example, this is a picture I wanted to share with you guys. Any guesses who this is right here? This is me, guys. This is me at about, I'm going to say I'm probably about maybe between 1 and 2 years old right here. Okay, and there's a story behind this picture that my mom told me about. I had this really big smile, and it almost looks like I'm laughing. And so I asked my mom, what was I doing, or what was I looking, or why did I have such a big smile on my face here? And she told me, on this day, I was sitting in my high chair, and we were facing the door, the front door of our door, and the mailman came by to deliver some mail, and he was talking to me. And he was saying hi, and he was talking to me, and so that made me smile. So that's something that I learned about this picture, that in this picture, I was sitting facing the front door, looking out the front door in our house, and the mailman walked up to our porch. And back in some homes, it's still this way, your mailbox is not out, like further out where you have to walk out. It would be like right by your door. So right by your door, there might be a little box. And so the mailman walked up to my door, and he was delivering some mail. He saw me looking out the door and he was saying hi and he was talking to me, so it made me smile. So here what I would do is I would draw a picture of this photo, and then I'm going to write what I learned about my past from this old picture. So here I would say, remember in my previous other lesson, I said we really need to step up our writing and write some more words because I know you guys are awesome writers. I have all the proof in the classroom, all your writing and stories that you've written about. So we're going to start writing more. We're going to write complete sentences. We're going to write more sentences. Many of you have already been doing that. Thank you. You guys are doing awesome. I haven't pushed it. So some of you might be saying, well, I didn't know I had to do it. That's okay. I hadn't pushed it. So now today I'm asking you to write more. I'm asking you to give me your best handwriting, to make sure about writing your sight words correctly, and stretching out all those other words and listening to the sounds that you hear in that and writing all the sounds that you hear. So step 1, select an old photograph from the past. Step 2, draw a picture and write about what you learned about your past from the old photograph. It doesn't have to be a picture of you. It could be a picture of someone else, and mom or dad will tell you a story about what that picture is about. Okay, so I just chose to find a picture of myself. I thought this was a funny picture with a nice story. So again, it doesn't have to be a picture of yourself. It could be a picture of someone else at an event that happened in the past. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa will tell you about the picture. Then you will take your picture, you'll draw a picture, and then you're going to write what you learned about your past from that picture. Okay, so I would say you might start off like this. This picture shows. So that in my case, I would say this picture shows me when I was about 1 or 2 years old sitting in my high chair. This is an example of is it a primary or a secondary source? What would you say? This is a primary source. Remember we went back here that a picture is a photograph or a picture is a primary source. I was there. My mom was there when it happened. She took the picture of me. So we would say, and I'm just going to move this over because I just noticed that this is kind of being blocked. Move it over right here like this. Okay, that was bothering me a bit. So what I would write here is I would say this picture shows me when I was 1 year old. I was sitting in a high chair. And then I could say this is an example of a primary source. Okay, so now I need to tell you, because remember we write what we learned about the past from the old picture. So now I'm going to say I learned that I was smiling so big because the mailman walked up to the porch to deliver my mail. The mailman was talking to me and making me smile. You see how I did that? Okay, so this is an example of how you could start your writing. The picture shows. Tell me what the picture shows. This is an example of a blank source. Is it a primary or secondary source? We know that a photograph is a primary source, so you would say this is an example of a primary source. Then the last part is you telling me what you learned from the photo. Remember, I learned that I was 1 year old in this picture. The mailman walked up to the front door to deliver mail. The mailman was standing there talking to me and making me smile. So I cannot wait to look at your pictures, guys, to see your pictures and old photographs. Now remember, it doesn't have to be a picture of you. It could be a picture of a family member. It could be a picture of an old friend. It doesn't really matter. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to see your pictures and your writing. Remember, let's write more words. Show me your awesome writing because I know you guys can do it. All right, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will be here to help you in any way that I can. All right, guys, goodbye.